Hi there, welcome back to the channel today, and today is going to be the first time for a while that I've done a request deck, and this is what we're looking at today. I've had a chat up on the community page of the YouTube channel, asking for people to nominate commanders or pairings or whatever they wanted to do, that they wanted to see me try and cover here on the stream. And the first one I got was this. It was Gut, True Soul Zealot with the Haunted One. So Gut is a two in a red 2/2 Goblin Shaman, and whenever you attack, you can sack an artifact or creature to get a 4/1 skeleton token that comes into play with menace that's tapped and attacking. And the background is the Haunted One. Commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, it and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it get +2/+0 and Undying till the end of turn. So Undying is a bit like Persist, but it's better than Persist because the creature comes back with a +1/+1 counter on it instead of a -1/-1. So yeah, I had fun with this. I'm not sure this is what the person was looking for, but I decided to go down a typal deck with this and play a lot of goblins, some of which have sacrifice effects to go alongside Gut, and some of which are standard goblins you see in a tribe. But usually with goblin typal decks, they're mono red. This has got black and red goblins in it, so it's a wee bit different to what you usually see here on the channel, but hopefully you enjoy it. If you think there's something I've left out, let me know down below in the comments when I get to the end of the video. Well, once you've watched all the video anyway. I really hope you've hit the subscribe button. There's 591 people as I sit and do this deck this evening. So, you know, the more the merrier. Please subscribe if you can. Really do appreciate it. It does help me get towards that magic 1,000 number. So, that's enough of me doing the sales pitch. Let's have a look at the deck itself. Okay then, a pricey deck, basically because of one card that's here. It's fairly cheap on MTGO. Real life still be expensive. You can probably work out what it is since I'm playing a black-red deck, but we'll point out when we get there. So, in the beginning, 39 creatures. There are a lot of goblins in this deck, some of which you have seen, some of which may be new to you. So, Face Vault is the first one. Pay a black, sacrifice a goblin, give it +2/+2 into the end of turn. With the Haunted One and Gut in play, that goblin comes back with Undying. Excuse me. Fanatic Firebrand lets us attack for 1, and then we can sack it off to ping something if we need to. Festering Goblin, when it dies, gives something -1/-1. Impulsive Pilferer, when it dies, gives us a treasure token, which is another thing we can use to sacrifice to Gut if we need to at some stage. And the Encore ability to be able to get a whole load of them to attack and then sack off as well is quite useful to get those extra treasures. Mog Fanatic, just when you sacrifice itself, you get to deal 1 damage, but you have to sacrifice it. It doesn't trigger if you sacrifice it to Gut. Bear that in mind. But, you know, you've got to have the original, one of the original goblins in the deck, haven't you? That everyone started playing with when Red Deck Wins became popular. Skirt Prospector is even nicer. You know, this creature becomes tapped, and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it get +2/+0 and Undying. If you want that mana for some reason in the middle of combat, you can use it. If you don't, however, and you just want to get some things going to get some extra mana, you can just sack your goblins. Stalactite Stalker is in, has menace. At the beginning of our end step, we descend to this turn, we get +1/+1 counter on it. And then we get to sacrifice it off, and target creature gets -X/-X, where X is the Stalactite Stalker's power. So that helps. Battle-Scarred Goblin comes in from Lord of the Rings. When it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to each creature blocking it. Goblin Death Raid is one of the red-black goblins. You don't see that often. 3/1 with Trample. The Fire Leaper also comes in from Lord of the Rings to have that little bit of pumping up, and then when it dies, it deals its damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. The Outlander's here for a bit of pro-white fun and games, which can give people a little bit of a headache. Goro, just to give everything haste. Because we do have modified creatures where we have +1/+1 counters a lot because of the Undying thing, we do occasionally get the dragons as well, so bear that in mind. Grenzo, Dungeon Warden, comes back in. I haven't played Grenzo for a long time in any deck, but this works really well here. If you can make it fairly big, that means you can always just pay 2 and get your goblins back when they're put in a graveyard. The bottom card of your library into your graveyard as a creature. You should know what's at the bottom of your library. It's going to be mainly goblins. There are 39, so hopefully you'll get to put it into play. Morias Marauder comes in, the double strike, and whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage for a player, exile top card of your library. Play that card this turn. Sear Slicer Goblin comes in. Gets when he's from Morningtide. No, wherever it is. The new set. You know the one with blue. I can't remember which one it is now. Foundations. That's the word I'm looking for. Beginning your end step, if you attack this turn, you get a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Spike Slasher Haste 3/1. Okay. And then Vile Smasher Gleeful Grenadier. Whenever another outlaw enters, you get to do 1 damage to target opponent. Yeah. Most of our things are kind of warriors and scouts and things, but we do have the occasional one that will trigger it with the rogue and the warlock ability. Bit like Zora Lava Tongue is in. When you descend, each opponent may discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. Zora deals 3 damage to each opponent who didn't. So a little bit of damage. Broadside Bombardiers, just a way to sacrifice things off because all our creatures will have Undying, so it does some extra damage. Goblin Chain Whirler just pings every opponent for 1, and then each creature and planeswalker they control takes 1. Some of the traditional, more typal Goblin creatures are here, so Goblin Chieftain's here, Goblin King's here, Goblin War Chief is in as well to help us do all the wonderfulness that they provide for Goblin decks. Grishnak, the Brass Instigator, is also in from Lord of the Rings. When it enters the battlefield, we get to amass Orcs 2, and when you do, until the end of turn, gain control of target non-legendary creature an opponent controls with a mass power less than or equal to the amassed army's power. Untap that creature against haste. Now, you're only going to get something with power 2 or less, which is fine. It might be a ramp spell, it might be a Bird of Paradise, it might be something else that will be useful for you for a turn, so yeah, it's worth having. Pashik Amons is in. Adjusted Makers give us another way of sacrificing a goblin if we need to deal some damage to people and ping everyone around. Squeak Dubious Monarch's in. Attacks, you get a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking, and you can cast this from your graveyard by paying 4 mana and exiling 4 other cards. Tuk Tuk the Explorer, because who doesn't like a goblin golem artifact creature token when it dies? Vile Smasher the Fierce had to be in here, didn't it? It's just one of those cards that always should be in a black-red goblin deck or a black-red deck of any sort of itself, especially for the first spell you cast each turn will deal damage to someone. Warren Soul Trader is also in. Pay a life, sack another creature, create a treasure token. Helps you get your damage in. Beetleback Chieftain gives us a couple of extra goblins when he comes into play. And then some more of the traditional ones. So Krenko Mob Boss is in. Murderous Red Cap obviously in to do the damage. The Persist and the Undying cancel each other out. So it keeps going. So shocking as much as you can, which is nice. Siege Gang Lieutenant, because obviously we'll hopefully have this in play when Guts in play to get the extra goblins at the beginning of our combat on each turn. And then we can sacrifice goblins off to ping thing. Well, yeah, ping is the right word, yeah. Siege Gang Lieutenant, sacrifice a goblin, target player loses 1, you gain 1. Nice. Ulgut, the white of the white hand. Whenever the creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Ulgut. If it was a goblin or orc, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on instead. This gets big quickly with this deck with Gut in play. Wart Boggart Auntie had to be in the beginning of your upkeep. You may return target creature card, target goblin card from your graveyard to your hand. A little bit of returning, nice. Kiki Jiki's in, yeah. Siege Gang's in, and then obviously we had to have Muxus in here. Into the battlefield reveals top 6 cards in your library. All goblin creature cards with converted mana value 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then whenever Muxus attacks, it gets +1/+1 until the end turn for each other goblin you control. We all know what Muxus does. It's ridiculous from the original Jumpstart set. Spells, Boggart Birthright to bring back our goblin if we need it to at some stage. Strike it rich for treasures. Jessica's Will for the extra mana and cards it can do. Fair bit of control though, because goblins aren't particularly big, so you do need to take care of the big stuff and hope you can get your things back. So Damnation, Chain Reaction are in, along with Blood Money and Blasphemous Act to give us a fair bit of board control if we need it. Unexpected Windfall for the treasures in the card draw. Hit the Motherlode for the Discover thing, for those lovely, lovely, lovely tap treasure tokens, which I'm basically going to hit. And then when all our goblins are dead, yeah, Rise of the Dark Realms. It's back in Foundations, it's back in my decks. I'm still determined to cast it at some stage and have it go off, so it's in here for today's one. Artifacts are mainly ramp apart from Elixir of the Immortal, because I do want to stuff everything back in when it goes pear-shaped. So like I said, our goblins are easy to kill. But then we have Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, we have Charcoal Diamond, the medallions in red and black. We have Mind Stone, Ruby Medallion, and Talisman of Indulgence. 2 fun cards at the end. Thought Vessel, just to keep our hand size if we need it to be there. And then the Immortal Sun. We want to draw some cards. We like the idea of our creatures being cheaper. And pumping up our goblins this way, probably not the worst idea in the world, to stop everyone activating their planeswalkers as well. Nice side effect for this card from my point of view. Enchantment wise, Guild Artisan, just another one of the backgrounds. Whenever Gut attacks, if it's attacking the opponent with the most life, if no opponent has more life than that player, you get a couple of treasures. Do your stacking right, please. And then Dralu's Crusade, coming back in from what did I say, Plane Shift, if I've got it right. All goblins are get +1/+1 are black and are zombies in addition to their other creature types. Yeah, okay then. Nice little kind of crusade effect for goblins in our typal deck here. The final card, Virtue of Persistence, a little bit of target removal, the -3/-3 and a little bit of life gain. But at the beginning of our upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Gives you away nicking some of the big stuff that hopefully your opponents have sort of like killed off for you and come into play on your side to help out. The cost of the deck, just so you're aware, if you're trying to build this in real life, is Badlands. It's still very expensive, $350, $400 if I remember correctly. The rest of it, a few extra lands. We've got Arid Messer in here. I've cheated a little bit. We've got that one in. We've got the others, one of the others in as well. Bloodstained Mire, there you go. Blood Crypts, we want to make sure we're hitting mountains. I only went with the extra one off colour. Well, no, it's not off colour, but you know what I mean. Land in, everything else is what you'd expect to see in a black-red deck. Fabled Passages here. We've got Mikakorol, Centre of the Sea. I will pronounce this right at some stage in the next decade, I'm sure, for the extra card draw. Urborg, Valakut, Molten Pinnacles in as well. We have enough mountains, we should be able to trigger this. But the one thing that is pointing out is 3 Tree Cities in, because in a typal deck, this should be one of the first lands you put in any typal deck going forward, I feel. Yeah. Because we get all those creatures of the same creature type, so we might as well get some mana for them being here. And that's it. That's my take on Gut and Haunted One, with the Haunted One that someone asked me to develop. Is it good? Not sure. I like goblins, so had to go down the typal route. I'm sure there may be a better way of doing it with a lot more of the other effects. I'm thinking of some of the ones that whenever a creature dies, everyone loses one, you gain one, or target player loses one, you gain one. You can do it as well with Sir Conrad. He can go in as well. But I decided to keep it typal. I may come back to it at some stage if the person doesn't like it when they see it, and look into it as a true-on, full-on, let's sacrifice things off and get it that way. But I think if you're going to play something like this, you do need to go around the goblin side of it, and I think it's going to work really nicely. So that's it for today's video. I've got one more to do that someone else has suggested, so please, the thing is still up on the community. Let me know what cards you'd like to see, and I will get them covered, because we're still waiting for a new set to come out. Innistrad Remastered is not exciting me. It really isn't. I think we've seen most of the Legends and Innistrad Remasters before, so please help me out. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll get it covered over the next few weeks while we wait for the next new set to appear. So for now, thanks for watching. Like I said at the start, please hit the subscribe button if you can. Really appreciate it. Come and follow me on Twitch. You'll see me play this deck this week, and I'll be back very soon with another deck. So for now, take care. See you later. Bye.